forward to the cloud so that we can get this going, you guys. We have get to start our new book club book, Atomic Habits. And I'm so excited for this, you guys, because I feel like the timing is perfect. And I feel like it is not by chance. I feel like it is a time where we are all being forced to develop new habits. And this is going to help us have the slight edge of making them the good habits that we need to make in order to be able to have good results. I've been listening to all kinds of stuff because we, have the opportunity maybe to have a little more alone time sometimes. And I like growing myself with other things. And what I was listening to was Andy Stanley one time this week, and he was saying that when we get through this, because we will get through this, we don't know when, but we will, that we're all going to have a story to tell. We're all going to be able to tell a story, and it's going to be either a good story or a story that, is not going to be so good. And you guys, that's what I want us to be paying attention to. Sorry, my getting text messages. What I want us to be paying attention to is what kind of story are you going to be able to tell? And think about your past, you guys. Think about the past, like your past trend line. We're talking about habits and how we get habits, good and bad. What is your trend line with how and what your stories have told about you? Have they been good stories? And he says stories that you could tell your kids, or are they stories that you want to hide from somebody, and it kind of just messes with you because you always want to not let that story be out or be told. Let's make this, you guys, whatever. We've all had good stories. We've all had bad stories. Let's make this one a good story. The things that I have been thinking of, because I'm an optimist, and I was looking up optimism, and it was just talking about how optimism gives us a competitive advantage. And they did a study in Duke University, and optimistic people, you guys, and ask yourself, are you more optimistic? Are you a pessimist or a realist? Those are kind of the options that you can pick through. And I think during this time, we need to pay attention to what is our natural tendency. Again, we trend towards what our natural tendency is. And those are the habits that we have. And a habit, you guys, we're going to learn is something that you do without thinking. So it's okay and it's great if it's a good habit and it's just who you are and you do it without thinking. But if it's a habit that you do and it's not something that is taking you in the direction that you want your life to go, you want to make sure you're thinking about it and stopping those habits. So let's think about right now, because this opportunity, this COVID-19 social isolation is an opportunity for us to really evaluate where we are as people. What are your tendencies? Are you an optimist? Are you a pessimist? Optimists are more positive, pessimists are more negative, or a realist, which in my opinion are negative. Because, in reality, yes, we're all stuck. Yes, people have lost jobs. Yes, yes, yes. But are you an optimist in that, or are you pessimist with it? So really, I believe there's only two options, but if you call yourself a realist, just put yourself in the pessimist column. But think about where you are in your head right now with this. Are you thinking of the opportunities that can come out of it, or are you thinking of all of the problems? I want my heart to break for the problems, because you guys, if there are people that are hurting out here, and I want to, have compassion for them, but I also want to make sure I have an optimistic attitude about what I believe they can do and what I believe I can help them do. And that is where people that are optimistic, they said at Duke University, work harder. So I believe in optimistic people are going to work harder to help those people that are hurting worse, and they get paid more, and they're more likely to win in sports, business, and in life, you guys. Optimistic people just win, not because their situation is any different than anybody else's in the situation. They win because they see opportunity in every situation, and they work harder to go make it happen. They believe in a positive future, and they took actions necessary to go create it. So how many people are, we had such an incredible start to this month. The build for more, volume was crazy. We know sponsoring is going to be a little less this month. And that's okay, you guys. We preach sponsoring, and we want you to understand the power of sponsoring, and the sponsoring is what's going to help you, predict what your business is going to do next month. But when you have things like this, the sales that we get and the opportunities we get to give people those things, those are just opportunities for us to get to follow up with these people that have now bought more Arbonne and are going to love Arbonne more, and be able to follow up with them and get them, if they haven't already, agreed to host a presentation for you virtually or in person if we get isolated, and or join this business with you, because when they bought at the beginning of the month, things didn't look like they do now. So how many people are looking at those people as an opportunity and taking and working harder to make something optimistic come out of that sale this month, and go back and visit those people even this month and invite them to take a look at this business? They bought the products, they love Arbonne. Let's take a look at this business, because right now our world has been turned upside down. That's what optimistic people do. They don't look at this and think, oh my gosh, that's just sales. This is, and now the wind has been taken out of my sail, and we're, diving into the depths of the ocean and sinking fast. No, you guys, we optimistic people are out there working harder right now after all of this happened, to go out there and take advantage of the opportunity that is laying here in front of us for everyone. You guys, there will be stories told, like Andy Stanley said, and some people are going to tell a story of success and a wild story that came out, things that they accomplished during this time when other people were crashing and burning. That's when their business took off. That's the story optimistic people and thinkers are going to tell. It doesn't matter where you have been in your life. You can change your trajectory by developing the new habit of thinking and being and acting more optimistically than as a pessimist. You guys, I am grateful for the stimulus package that we have gotten, and I hope and pray that everybody that is being hurt financially by this, which I believe everyone is, you guys, I don't believe there's anyone that is left, untouched by this in a financial way. I just feel like some people have a little more layers of protection, and they may not be feeling the impact of it as hard. But the stimulus package, I hope and pray, helps all those people that got hit hard. What I really hope, though, is that people realize that that was a gift, and it is an opportunity for you to take advantage of the awareness that we all have now of how fragile our financial status is, and what we need to do to make sure that the next time impact happens, because it's going to happen. And if it's not a nationwide impact, you guys, there's not going to be a stimulus package there for you. If it's not a nationwide impact, you're going to get impacted again in the future. But are you going to be ready for it? Are you going to take advantage of this opportunity in such an optimistic way that you go, you know what? I am building this business and helping others build a business that gives them a layer of protection and a stream of income that doesn't get to be halted because I have to not work. Because this business works whenever we're not working, when we build it correctly. So are we optimistic? Are we, being grateful in the process for the stimulus package, but not being like, oh yeah, that's going to take care of me? You guys, that's entitlement mentality. The entitlement mentality is that, oh, there's always going to be a stimulus package somewhere that comes and rescues me. Don't think that. Think that it's you against the world, and that you are the one responsible for taking care of you and the people that you're responsible for. And if you're not there, nobody's there. And that you realize now more than ever how much control somebody else and something else had over your financial security. That is what I have seen this from day one, and I'm grateful again for the vision, but I hope everybody's eyes are opened and the vision is a little more clear in how fragile truly every single person's financial situation is. Even people that think and act like they have, a great income, and or moms, stay-at-home moms that are blessed to be able to stay at home with their family because somebody is paying a price for that. if that person decides to, not be there to pay the price in either by their choice or not by their choice, how fragile are those people? And I've always known those people are so fragile, even though they walk around so full of ego and arrogance, that they don't have the same financial problems that drove me into Arbonne as they do. If that makes sense. I don't know if I said that right. But you guys, we all are fragile. People are fragile. So I hope this opens your eyes up to the opportunity that you can help, maybe in a kind and compassionate, not, arrogant way, of helping people realize that their future, their finances are that fragile, that a virus can take you out. I mean, what if you alone just got a virus that attacked your immune system, like we've been talking about in our healthy living calls, and autoimmune attacks you and it takes you out? That's a virus attacking you, not the nation, but it's going to affect you and other people in the future. I just want you guys to realize how powerful this impact is and what a gift it is to help open our eyes to the reality of our future and our security, and make sure that we are taking advantage of this opportunity. He says optimists delude themselves. And you can either use the word delude, that, this is a good situation, that we're getting to learn all of this about our situation. You guys, it is a good situation. I don't think that's delusion at all. I think it's belief. And that's what they say. Optimists would use the word belief, and it's more a state of mind, but it's also the competitive advantage. Realists and pessimists complain. Optimists work hard to create it. And they recruit people into their world. They build a family culture. They love each other through this. And optimism doesn't guarantee our success, you guys, but pessimism will definitely guarantee you won't be successful. And the decisions we make now will determine the stories that we tell our kids and our future lives about what we did during COVID-19 and what we learned during COVID-19 and how we changed the habits that we were doing, good and bad, and started changing the trajectory of our life through this hardship. Back in the Depression, the people, the generation, our grandparents that did well during that time, they lived through the same Depression, but they died with more money than most of us have today, because they learned what they needed to do to protect their finances and take care of their family. So my question to you is, what kind of person are you? What's your attitude? Where is your belief in all of this? Is it pessimistic, optimistic? Do you believe? Are you deluding yourself into seeing the gifts and the blessings in this and having an attitude of gratitude? Because attitude is really everything about what we are going through that's going to determine the direction and the stories that we tell. But my other thing that I want us to pay attention to, that I've been thinking of, is what discoveries are you making? What discoveries are you making? I'm not one of these people that are put in this situation, but I would have been forced in this situation just like you guys are. That I've always said, I love kids. I love being a pediatric nurse, but I am not a teacher. And I would not, homeschool my kids. Well, guess what? You guys may have all said that, but how many of you are getting to homeschool your kids? It's just like I always say, when people talk about their whys, I want to help take care of my parents, better care of my parents. And I'm like, how many of you are going to get to take better care of your parents because they don't have their finances in place and in order, and they're going to require care, and the buck stops with you? How many of you are getting to, take care of your family and your kids and homeschool and discover, guess what? You know what? You're doing it. You are doing more than you thought you had the capacity to do. And that is true for all of us. We all have a capacity bigger than we think to develop good habits if we will just make ourselves do it. This has forced us to do it. But what we have to learn how to do is have a discipline about us that develops these habits on a regular basis without being forced to do it. So what I believe is my optimistic attitude believes that there's going to be so many families that after they get through this, they're going to choose. Makes me cry. They're going to choose to homeschool their kids. They're going to choose to be the one to pour into their lives instead of putting them into those schools, you guys, where they're not good environments. He talks about putting yourself in an environment where it's a family culture and people love each other. You guys, that's not what most of our schools are like out there for our kids today. And it breaks my heart. So what I'm hoping and praying comes out of this is that there are families that realize that they have the power to homeschool their kids, or they have the ability to control their spending enough to not have two jobs outside the home and not be fully present for your kids, whether they go to a public school or not. You're there for them in the morning, you're there for them in the evening. You may be able to show up at their school during the day, and you are able to still be present. What I'm hoping and praying for, there are so many, and believing, is that there's so many amazing discoveries that people are making right now about their situation, that they are going to make positive changes in the habits that they have had and given themselves up until now. And you guys, I wrote in my book, March 2020 is when we started this book, and it was when coronavirus, hit, so that we can go back and look and see what kind of atomic habits did we develop and discover we had and could make and develop during this time, because we were forced to slow down and forced to be disciplined in everything that we are having to take on that we didn't have before. In the beginning, you guys, he tells about his story. James Clear tells about the story where he got hit in the face with a baseball bat. And it just like totally crushed him. I mean, emergency situation, almost took his life, and basically had to, work his way back into, and he was, baseball was a dream and was where he was wanting to, move forward with his career and maybe even play professionally, because his dad had played in the minor leagues and stuff. And then, that dream kind of got crushed in his sophomore year of high school, and he barely even got to play and got cut from his team, the varsity team, in his junior year. And he barely got to play varsity games in his senior year. Even though he made the varsity team, he hardly showed up on the field. Excuse me. And then he talks about how he went on to college, and he ended up getting all of these accolades and these awards, and never went and played professional, but did come back as an All-American and had a good story to tell. And you guys, it's a great story. And he just talks about the little things that he did step by step for building better habits, not for days or weeks, but for a lifetime. And that season in his life is what helped him develop that step-by-step habit that he took on as a lifestyle for him. And that's what I want us to be able to do out of this story. This is a story that's being written, you guys. And are you writing a good story? Are you developing good habits? What have you done? Like literally ask yourself right now. This is reflection time every week. It's all of us looking at us. And you guys, I've struggled with this. I've had to make myself, have a calendar of times that I still get up and exercise. The reason I love going to a gym is I love my community. I'm a people person. I love people. I love you guys show up with me on Saturday. But I also I love the gym because their class starts at 9:30. That's an appointment on my calendar, and I have to show up because that's whenever the class starts. But this time period where our gyms have been closed, I'm like, I don't have anybody telling me to show up at 9:30. And for those of you that have had a boss and always had a boss and don't know how to do anything unless somebody's telling you when to do it, how to do it, and how much you're going to get paid for it, it's like Dr. Barrett teaches us in Dare to Dream and Work to Win. You are not going to be able to, work alone. Well, guess what? Once again, we have been forced to work alone. We have been forced to flex our muscle as an entrepreneur and as a disciplined person, and look at yourself in the mirror and go, am I liking the trajectory that I'm going? Because now that nobody tells me to show up at 9:30, I no longer work out every day. Or are you going, okay, wait a minute, If they're not going to do that for me, I need to do that for myself. I need to find a time on my calendar that I cannot cancel on myself again, as the Grinch says, and who stole, the Grinch that stole Christmas. And he's, has to loathe, and he's like, I cannot cancel that. I don't know if you guys, kids quote that as much as my kids did, but I cannot cancel on myself again, because I am not going to end up being the person I want to be when this is all over and tell the story that I want to tell. So what is it that you guys, are getting to realize about yourself? Have you kept a good routine? Have you kept a good calendar and a good schedule? Have you let it go? It doesn't matter where and what your answer is for you. It's your answer. You are the only one who knows it, because guess what? We're socially isolated right now. But it is also your opportunity to evaluate it enough and go, but this is what I'm going to do about it. This is what I'm going to do about it, because I know I can. I'm going to follow other people that have, put an appointment on the calendar for themselves to exercise, put an appointment on their calendar for you to do your quiet time and spend time with your higher power, whatever that is for you. I'm going to put an appointment on my calendar I've scheduled a daily power hour, and so many of your other national vice presidents have too, because I need to put an appointment on my calendar to sit down and do this for my business. And I know if I need it, probably other people need it too. And if you need to show up with me, show up with me. That's what our leaders are doing, you guys. That's what the people that have developed the discipline to work alone, because they are at the top of this company and we no longer work an outside job, and we have had to be our own boss. When people want a title, they want the position, but you guys, you have to grow into it. You have to grow into the person that can handle being an RVP working from home, an NVP working from home. And I'm going to challenge the RVPs right now, because there's a lot of RVPs that are still RVPs because you haven't mastered the discipline of working alone. It is when you master the discipline of working alone and leading yourself better, you will go to nation, because your team is following you. And if you're not a nation yet, and I mean, you guys, forgive me, because this is going to be a throat punch, okay? I'm going to ask for forgiveness right now. You have to be the hardest working person on your team. Your team follows you. They don't follow me. They don't follow other leaders. Your team follows you. What you're doing in your business is what your team is going to do in theirs, even though somebody else may be doing more around them or above you. But you are the lid for your team. And I hope and pray that everybody at that level, if you have been a lid, because guess what? It's easy to be comfortable at Region. I mean, when I do those take-a-looks and I see the annual average income is almost $80,000 a year, guess what? Most people, that's more than they were ever going to make in any career that they could ever live in and work in. And why go any further than that? Because it's comfortable there. But what you have to develop is the discipline to let what you are comfortable with break your heart, because you have a team that's not yet comfortable. That's the world-class mentality and discipline that you have to develop to go nation. And if you're the lid on your team right now, this is a time where you can reflect and challenge yourself to step out in courage, step out in faith, push pride out of the way, sweep your ego like we learned last week, own it, and decide to be different today. And let that be the story that comes out of this time right here. And it doesn't just have to be regions, you guys. Areas are really comfortable. Area managers are really comfortable. And you can do both. You can work a job and work this business. And between both of those, you can be still at that average RVP salary that keeps people comfortable enough that they don't need to do a whole lot more than what they're doing, and you hold and put a lid on your team. So just think about it, you guys, and know that NVPs, they're doing power hours, they're stepping up, and I will even challenge the NVPs on here and myself, you guys. I told you, I needed a calendar. I needed a schedule to get me into taking care of the 5 priorities that I have for my life. The top 5 for my life were not being cared for well when all this happened. I had to come back and check myself. The thing is, with NVPs, we kind of get there a little quicker because we've had the practice of doing it. And what you have to do is know that you're starting to develop the discipline, and it's going to take more time in the gym to get that going for you than it does an MVP. But MVPs, I'm proud of our MVPs. They're all working really good right now. But you know what? I want an MVP to ask yourself, but what was I doing before this? How comfortable was I being, and how hard was I working before all of this happened? And if you had to step up your game and do a little more because you realize your team needs you to be a better leader, like I did, that's where you know this is a habit I can get better at even after this is over. Even after this is over, I can do better as an MVP than I did as one before COVID-19. Those are the things that we're learning right now, you guys. And that is what it's the opportunity. As an optimist, that's the gift that we're all going to have in here. And this book is going to help us know how to develop those habits with those little tiny changes and adjustments. So I don't even know. That's the foreword. He has a story. It turned out to be a good one. And you guys, the chapter 1, John Maxwell, I just was looking up like habits, like what do we know about habits? And I love John Maxwell. You guys all know I love him. And he says, we all have habits. Some are good, some are bad. And that's what we're doing here, you guys. All of this time that I've already spent with you is just for us to think about what have been our habits for our life and for our business in Arbonne. And what good ones do you have? And what bad ones do you have? We all have both. We all have both. And we tend to only think of the bad ones. And I know I've been kind of like, focusing in on the bad ones because I feel like it's an opportunity. As an optimist, it's an opportunity for us to take advantage and work on what we know we can improve on right now. But we also have good ones. And so celebrate the good ones that you have and make sure that you are, not being just down on yourself. But he says we're constantly working to improve our bad habits. He says our good ones, we do without thinking. And he says that's how habits are. They come natural. And you guys, I honestly think we do everything without thinking. I think we do habits, good and bad, without thinking. I think people, they don't mean to not be the best leader on their team. They don't think about it. What they do is just a habit that they develop, and until they decide and recognize that the habit is holding down, opportunity and maybe hurting themselves and others, they're not going to change it. But they just come natural. You don't know what your habits are unless you sit down and you think about it and you evaluate and you process them. So look at your good ones and your bad ones. And then how do we enhance our good and get rid of our bad? Because that's what we are going to learn and what we need to be working on, you guys. I know how to get rid of my bad habit was put a calendar together that I felt accountable to, and hold me accountable by putting it out there in front of other people. At 2:00, I'm going to sit down with all of you and I'm going to be booking my calendar just like I'm having you book yours. That's accountability. And that's going to it's forced me every day to do that. And I promise you, there would have been some days that I would have said, oh my gosh, I got to go get this done instead of doing that. That's not how I get a good habit. I get a good habit by putting myself in a group of people that are driven to make and develop better habits. And that's the gift that we have during this time, where so many people are sitting in their house alone at home, and they're left to watching TV, being on their phones with social media, watching the news, overeating, and just like stress eating and all those things that we can do during times like this. That's where most people are left to themselves. You have a gift. You have a gift of community, of people that are working hard to develop a good story out of all of this. So he says that, you guys, we need to develop good habits because your good habits will serve you. But we also need to know if we continue to develop our bad habits, you will serve them. So either your bad habits, you're going to have them. And either way, either you're going to serve your bad habits or your good habits are going to serve you. That's what we're working for, you guys. And you all have the capacity to do it. And you all are better than most people out there. But yet we can't let our current success rob us of our future success. And that's what we do whenever we become complacent with how comfortable we get in life. So the surprising power of atomic habits. And he talks about the British cycling team that was like so bad that a biking company would not even let them use their name or their equipment, because they didn't want any of their biking equipment to be associated with the British cycling team, because it would maybe make them think that it was because of the equipment that this team was so bad. But he said they eventually were able to get a new coach that had a different, attitude, and started developing the tiny little habits that really didn't seem like they were going to make a big difference in a team that needed a drastic change in their how they did things. And he says they improve it by 1% and you'll get a significant increase when you put all of the improvements together, when you improve in different areas by just 1%. He says the team ended up like he said 1% improvements can be overlooked in unexpected areas. And he says that they tested different types of different massage gels, and one led to a faster muscle recovery. They determined the different type of pillow and mattress to get a better night's sleep. They did different things to get little bits of dust off of their bikes and their equipment, and finally tuned their bikes. And he said, and just after 5 years, after taking over, they won an astounding 60% of the gold medals in the Olympic Games in London. And you guys, it reminded me of the story that John Wooden, Coach Wooden, is one of the greatest leaders of all time and one of John Maxwell's mentors. And he talked about how whenever his team shows up for the first day of practice, you know what they learn how to do? Tie their shoes correctly. You guys, the book that's written, Make Your Bed, those little tiny things are what make a big difference. Do you pay attention to the details? It's like when we host as coach, even though we're doing virtual, you guys, we still have to have a host to put us in front of other people. So what are we doing in the little tiny 1% details to make sure that our virtuals are good? Because people haven't mastered virtual. We haven't really mastered in person either, you guys, because we can still have our bombs. But what 1% improvements can you make that will make a big difference in everything you do? And it will make a difference after we get through this, and we'll tell a different story for everybody whenever we make those changes. But Coach Wooden taught him how to tie shoes. If, messy closet, messy life, messy business. You can't have a messy house and a successful business, you guys. Everything needs to get better. Like, I hope some of you are using some of this time to go through some of your closets and get organized and realize how uncluttered your brain gets when your environment is no longer cluttered. How maybe you've got all those habits taken care of, but then developing those habits of putting a time on your calendar to sit down and book your calendar. Those are the little 1% changes that you can make right now, and then maintain and develop it as a skill that is natural for you whenever this is all done. It will become a natural thing that you just do, and that it keeps your life in a better place, so that you are more able to focus and concentrate on the things that we do and need to do for our business. He says, why small habits make a big difference. Tiny changes that at first glance would seem to make the most modest difference at best. Why do small improvements accumulate into such remarkable results, and how can you replicate this approach into your own life? And he says that too often we convince ourselves that massive success requires massive action. Whether it's losing weight, building a business, writing a book, winning a championship, or achieving any other goal, we put pressure on ourselves to make some earth-shattering improvement that everyone will talk about. Meanwhile, improving by 1% isn't particularly notable. Sometimes it's not even noticeable, but it can be by far more meaningful, especially in the long run. And you guys, it just always reminds me of the turtle and the hare. We have these people that come in and they're the hare, and they're just like, whoosh, they're running and like blowing smoke in your face. But it's the people that consistently stay with it. Some people have the energy and the capacity to run as a hare the whole time. I was a hare, but I never fell off. I continue to stay in it and stay working hard and being the best consultant that I can be on my team and leader for my team. Some people are a hare. They come in, they burn up all their fuel, and then they crash and burn and they're gone. Or it's like we learned in Ego is the Enemy. They work to hit a goal, and then because they were hitting a goal of a title, not doing this as a purpose and to achieve a why, then they were done when they hit the title and they're gone. You know, maybe they did go all the way to MVP as a hare and they went super fast. But if they were going just for the recognition, just for the ego, just for the title, it's not going to be fulfilling for them anymore. It's like, once you win a race, what's the deal? What are you doing the race for? What does the race mean to you? So that's where consistency, maybe you can go fast consistently. Maybe you can, you have to just go consistent at a steady pace. Either way, that will win out over crazy fast and then stop. So that's the difference between, you know, being 1% consistently and in the long run. And he gives us a chart, you guys, of being, you know, like the curve that is getting better every day, and how, you know, this is the time and this is the results. And it says everything you do compounds over time, good and bad, you guys. What we do compounds over time. If you continue to, you know, gain, let's say 5 pounds a year, that's not so much. You could probably still wear all the same clothes you have in your closet. But if you add that up over time consistently, that's 5 pounds this year, 5 pounds next year, 5 pounds the next year. And in 3 years, you're 15 pounds heavier than you were 3 years ago. Do you see the compounding effect of what you do and the little tiny habits that it took? Gaining 5 pounds a year doesn't take, you know, it takes very little negative change or lack of attention to gain 5 pounds. But 5 pounds, 5 pounds, 5 pounds is 15 pounds. And you would notice an extra 15 pounds on you, and you wouldn't like it if it's not what was healthy for you. And so think about what we do and how it compounds over time. Doing those calls every day, you guys. I haven't gotten a yes every single day. I've sat down and done my accountability calls, but because I didn't stop on the day I didn't get a yes, I did it again the next day. The next day I sent a message, and within seconds I got a yes, I would love to talk to you. Do you understand? It's the consistent daily activity that is good, that will eventually add up to a good result that is noticeable by others. In the beginning, it's not going to be noticeable. Either way, good or bad, but compounding over time, you're going to get the results that you either want or you don't want. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. So your improvement you work on yourself is the compounding interest that you are doing as you improve yourself. Little difference on any given day, months or years, over months and years, can be enormous. It is only when looking back 2, 5, perhaps 10 years later that the value of good habits and the cost of bad ones become strikingly apparent. So you guys, that's our 90-day cycle. That's our, 30 days to healthy living. All of these things, like, you got to give them time. This business takes time. Dr. Barrett teaches us that. We need to give it enough time. And if you do consistently with good habits this business and give it enough time, you're going to see the positive results. He says, if you save a little money now, you're still not a millionaire. If you go to the gym 3 days in a row, you're still out of shape. If you study Mandarin for an hour a night, you still haven't learned the language. He says, we make a few changes, but the results never seem to come quickly, so we slide back into the previous routines. And that's one of the discoveries that I hope that we make during this time where we're forced to slow down. Our society has been so, we have had a pandemic of entitlement and immediate reward and gratification. And if we didn't get it fast enough, it wasn't worth us doing it. And what this is forcing us to do is slow down enough to realize that we need to give things more time. And we need to get rid of the things that were cluttering our time, you guys, because really right now, what everybody's taking care of is all of their basics. If you take care of those basics well, this is like a gift of time that's giving you the opportunity to learn what your basic priorities are and how to take very good care of them. And whenever this is over, don't go flood your calendar with extra things. Be very careful, just like we are in our 30 days of healthy living. We do a reintegration process. We slowly enter in one type of food and listen to what your body is telling you about that food whenever you consume it. We're going to slowly put things back in, and we're going to ask ourselves, how do I feel about it now? I wasn't paying attention to it and noticing it before because it was a habit, but how do I feel about it now? And that's what we're going to get to do at the end of all of this, is be able to reflect and slowly decide how much we want to put back in and how many of the good, consistent habits on a few things are we going to take care of for our life. Unfortunately, the slow pace of transformation also makes it easy to let a bad habit slide. Like we talked about, you don't notice the little things that make a big difference over time, that compound, but you want to pay attention and know every day you develop a discipline to do better. He says, if you eat an unhealthy meal today, the scale doesn't move much. If you work late and ignore your family, they will forgive you. If you procrastinate and put your project off until tomorrow, there will usually be time to finish it later. A single decision is easy to dismiss. But I wrote down there in huge letters, exclamation, unfortunately. Unfortunately, the single decisions that we make are easy to dismiss. That's what's sad, you guys. Pay attention daily to what you're doing, to the important things in areas of your life, and don't dismiss them. Don't dismiss them. But when you repeat 1% errors day after day by replicating poor decisions, duplicating tiny mistakes, and rationalizing little excuses, our small choices compound into toxic results. Toxic, you guys. He says, if a pilot leaving LAX adjusts the heading just 3.5 degrees south, he says you'll land in Washington, D.C. instead of New York. He says you end up hundreds of miles apart with just a tiny little shift of not being on the right track and doing little things that are not good in the daily. Making a choice that is 1% better or 1% worse seems insignificant at the time. He says, that said, it doesn't matter how successful or unsuccessful you are right now. What matters is whether your habits are putting you on the path towards success. You should be far more concerned with your current trajectory than with your current results. So don't look at how successful you are right now, you guys, because honestly, another discovery I think people are going to make is that and this was one for me, as much as I'm like, you know what, I know what I'm going to do in Arbonne till the day I die. I know, I've built a strong organization on a solid surface, and I was comfortable. I was comfortable. I still worked hard. I'm not going to take that away from myself because I work really hard in my business, but there were things I could do better. And that is where this time, I'm like, we don't know what's going to come out of this time, because there's way more pessimists out there in the world than there are optimists. And if my organization that has been doing a little bit tries to move into the pessimistic, or is the pessimistic and doesn't work to get out of that and develop optimistic attitude and belief and delude themselves into what good can come out of this, and they just go down with it, my business is not going to look like it does now or be getting better all the time like I like for it to, because that means people are getting better along with me at the end of this. So what do I need to do about it? I need to be a better leader. I need to be more present with my team. I need to show you that I'm still out on this court playing, even though we're doing it in a little bit different way. We've been prepared for this. So we have to know that our current trajectory is what we need to pay the most attention to, not where we are right now. And you guys, maybe you weren't in a great place right now. That's okay. You can put your current trajectory to put you in the direction you want your business and life to go at this time as well. Successful or unsuccessful, what we do right now is what's going to be the determining factor of where we land, either at success or at a level of even further unsuccess when this is over. Your outcomes are a lagging measure of your habits. He says your net worth is a lagging measure of your financial habits. Your weight is a lagging measure of your eating habits. Your knowledge is a lagging measure of your learning habits. Your clutter is a lagging measure of your cleaning habits. You get what you repeat. You get what you repeat. If you want to predict where you'll end up in life, all you have to do is follow the curve of tiny gains or tiny losses. You guys, again, look at all the important areas of your life. Are you gaining success? Are you losing success? We have to take time to think. And I'm so grateful again for this time to look at all the areas of my life and go, how am I doing in all these areas of my life? Am I gaining success or am I losing success? That's where we are and have the opportunity to do, because we get what we repeat, and we want to make sure we're getting what we want, not what we are repeating. Are you spending less than you make each month? Are you making it to the gym each week? Are you reading books and learning something new each day? Tiny battles like these are the ones that will define your future self. Time magnifies. I had that circle. Time magnifies the margin between success and failure. It will multiply whatever you feed it. Good habits make time your ally. Bad habits make time your enemy. Just like John Maxwell said, we serve our bad habits. Our good habits serve us. Our good habits are our ally. Habits are a double-edged sword. Bad habits will cut you down just as easily as good habits will build you up, which is why understanding the details is crucial. You need to know how habits work and how to design them to your liking so you can avoid the dangerous half of the blade. So just take inventory, you guys, and he puts on page 19, positive compounding habits and negative compounding habits. And he talks about, the differences of both and what you want to compound positively. He says that one of the core reasons why it's so hard to build habits that last is that people make a few small changes, fail to see tangible results, and decide to stop. Again, it just isn't staying with it consistently enough, you guys. You just have to stay consistent with it. And once this kind of thinking takes over, it's easy to let good habits fall by the wayside. But in order to make a meaningful difference, habits need to persist long enough to break this plateau. And it's what he calls the plateau of latent potential. He said, if you find yourself struggling to build a good habit or break a bad one, it's not because you have lost your ability to improve. It is often because you have not yet crossed the plateau of latent potential. Your work is not wasted. It's just being stored. All of this action, you guys, will take the lead if you just stay with it. And that's whenever I always see people like quit working or quit being consistent in their daily power hours, or they get to area and they're doing that 20 plus and they just let off. I'm so proud of Tracy Moore right now. I mean, her and her team have done like almost 30 for years, you guys, years. And she's never let up. She has never let up. She is consistent, and she is hitting and will hit 40 this month in a crazy month when some people are throwing in the towel. This girl, because she's just consistent on a steady basis, is doing and will hit 40,000 this month as a region. And her team is following suit because she is the leader that has shown them, I stick with this. And right now this world is falling apart, but you know what their team knows they can trust? They can trust Tracy Moore consistently working her Arbonne business and showing up for them and being there for them to lead the way. That is what you want to become. She has hit, makes me cry. She's about to hit her plateau of latent potential. And I am so happy and proud of her. You're closer than you think, you guys. You're closer than you think. And if you could just stay with it a little bit longer, you would be able to hit your potential and the plateau of latent potential. You are all closer than you think. Every one of you. So don't stop just short of the goal, because you're just about to hit the point where your business just goes and it will take off. And it will take care of you because you have taken care of it. It will serve you because you have served it. When you finally break the plateau of latent potential, people will call you an overnight success. The outside world only sees the most dramatic event rather than all that preceded it. but you know that it is the work that you did long ago. Long ago, you guys, is what did it. Mastery requires patience. You have to just not take, big one below and then be done. The task of breaking a bad habit is like uprooting a powerful oak that is within us. And the task of building good habits is like cultivating a delicate flower one day at a time. He says, what is it that causes some people to slide into unwanted habits and others to enjoy the compounding effects of good ones? You forget about the goals and focus on not the goals, you guys. And he says, prevailing wisdom claims that the best way to achieve what we want in life is to set goals, but to follow and do everything you do with a system. And the goals are the results of what you want to achieve, but systems are about the process that lead to those results. You guys, that's the system we have, the recipe for success, the 40 faces a month. It doesn't matter how we do it, what we do it with. We just know that is the system that works consistently every single time. And we know that our sponsoring needs to be at minimum what our volume is, and if not double, in order to be sustainable. And that is the system that we know works every single time we work it. That's how people get the results that they need and hit their latent potential. Goals are good for direction, but systems are best for making progress. So use the getting started system that we have. Use the recipe for success. Use the help 8 find 2. It all does the same thing, but it's 40 faces a month. It's daily reach outs. It's filling your calendar with activity that you do, not that you show up and let your MVP do. You're the one out there giving this gift away because people buy you. They don't buy their MVP. They buy who people they know, like, and trust, and that's you. We're just here for third-party validation. And the goal that has always been there, it was only when they implemented a system of continuous small improvements that they achieved a different outcome. You're left chasing the same outcome because you never changed the system behind it. You treated a symptom without addressing the cause. So guys, the cause we need to address, and then develop the system or go into the system that use the system that we have. Achieving a goal only changes a life for a moment. Changes in the systems are what changes your life for a lifetime. When you fall in love with the process rather than the product, you guys, not the title, the process. This is part of a journey. It's a part of your purpose, a calling, whatever you want it to be. But when you get it in you to do it that way, that's whenever you're going to really see the results. Goals are at odds with long-term progress. Goals are very short-term, you guys, and systems and progress are continual. They don't stop. And he says, once you win the race, there's no longer anything there to motivate you and you stop training. And as soon as you cross the finish line, he says, it's why people find themselves reverting back to old habits after accomplishing a goal. The purpose of setting goals is to win the game. The purpose of building systems is to continue playing the game. You guys write that down. Page 27, top of the page. The purpose of setting goals is to win the game. The purpose of building systems is to continue playing the game. We all need to continue playing the game. Everybody in this moment, I believe, has been woken up to how much better we can play this game than what we were doing before this time. True long-term thinking is goalless thinking. We're not here for a goal. We're here to play this game, you guys. We're here to play Arbonne and be faithful with this gift. It is about the cycle of endless refinement and continuous improvement. Ultimately, it is your commitment to the process that will determine your progress. So each one builds upon the other. And you guys, on page 28, he goes through some summaries, and you just want to get 1% better at all of these. He says habits, number 1, are compound interests of self-improvement. Get 1% better every day because it counts for a lot in the long run. 2, habits are a double-edged sword. The most powerful outcomes of any compounding process are delayed, so you need to be patient. And the atomic habit is a little habit that is a part of a larger system. And if you want better results, then forget about setting goals and focus on your system instead. and you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your system. You guys, we have a good system. It works. And we just need to rise to the system. So that's what I have for you this week. I know a lot of it was not related to the book and the book club, but it is relatable to the time that we're in. And I know it's what I've been working on as a leader and what I believe your leaders are working on and discovering. And I want you all to be able to take advantage of this time and this opportunity to let this be a discovery process for you of how your life can do better whenever we're through it, and you tell a beautiful story because you learned about you better during this time. What did everybody else get out of this? Thank you.
Hey, Carlita.
Yeah.
I am loving this book already. I think because it's just such a good tool. One of the things I was going to say is, you know, I love how he's talking about systems. And I've even been kind of reflecting on this even before I read the book. But the reason I feel like I was so successful with the healthy living is because we have a great system to follow. And along with that system, we have our Facebook groups that teach us so much on our journey. And so having those tools to keep fueling your brain through it is so awesome. And I just recently did Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. Same thing, simple system, and you're getting the fuel on the journey. And so even for my business, I see this book as being a great tool to keep me connected in implementing these systems. Like, I know we have our 40 faces, but my daily system needs a lot of help. And so having this book as a tool to help me, you know, implement those daily do habits, and long term too. Like I do things like short term, and then I just allow distractions in. And so just having this to help me stay accountable to that, and also implementing those systems for my kids. You know, having 7 kids is crazy. And especially they're all home right now, 24/7. And so you know, we were working on that today, you know, setting up systems, because we're on spring break this past week, and going into this next week, we you know, we're going to have to really buckle down and you know, have spaces set up for people to be doing their own work. And so I'm just excited to have this as a tool and encouragement every day as we walk that out. So, and also, you know, creating space for me and my business while they're doing school too. So,
hey, Katie, could I add to that?
Yeah.
Hey, so do you feel like going through Financial Peace University put kind of more of a fire under your butt to work your personal Arbonne business just a little harder?
Yeah, it definitely did, because you know, you're finding ways to create income, but you're also, you know, creating ways to be wise with what you've been given. And that was the biggest thing, is our finances were getting ready to change, and that's why we chose to take this class, because we wanted to be wise with what we're doing. And so, you know, it just really starts to grow so many areas of your life. You know, just like he said, when you're making, you know, that 1% change, you know, it makes you eager to make another one, you know, and so it just gets you really excited to keep moving forward in life in general. So.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with that. So we took it 2 summers in a row, and like I think that taking that class really makes me want to work harder, because I'm not only working for like the present, you're also working for the future. And that's the same thing for your Arbonne business. So I highly recommend, like, if you guys have not taken that class, you definitely should. It's life-changing. Oh, it's called Financial Peace University. It's a Dave Ramsey class for all of you guys asking.
I have it on audiobook. Carlita, I think for me and what I'm seeing in just my team and stuff, I think that this time and also this book gives you a glaring perspective on what you really actually do for your business every day. I feel like, you know, we all can think we're doing little bits, or we're working, but I think that this extra time that we have has really exposed really how committed we are, how much we actually do. And, you know, last night we had been on calls all day, my daughter and I, and there was a leader on her team, and she wanted to do another call. And I was like, I think my head is going to explode. And my daughter, who's been in the business a short time, really working, she said, Mom, you're going nation and I'm going region. Get up and get on the call. And I was like, I was going to get on the call, but I was just having a brief pity party because I'm just all the technology. Like, I don't know if you guys are feeling like the technology and being on your phone, and like, it can be really draining, right? It's really not healthy for us to be on all of this so much. But my daughter was like, get up. We've been on calls. We've done like 7 or 8 today. We're doing one more. And I'm like, okay. But I just think it's a glaring window into what we actually have been doing and putting into our business. And also too, it's like the bat in the face, like the bat in this guy's face. No one expects that. This is the bat in the face for all of us, you guys, the time that we're in right now. And for those of you that feel scared or worried, I feel like you got to step up and go, imagine the person who doesn't have Arbonne. Imagine the person who doesn't have the community. Imagine the person that doesn't have the contacts in their phone that they can text and say, I'm having a rough day, or can you help me out of this? Or picking up the phone and just saying, hey, can you talk for a minute? You guys, there's so many people that don't have just this. Us looking at each other's faces on Zoom every week and going, wow, okay, maybe it's not going the way I planned in my business, but people don't have what we have. And so that's the message you need to be sharing. And when we did that Zoom yesterday, the daily power hour, and Heidi said, you may think this is about sales, but it's about being kind, and it's about pouring into other people, and it's about teaching people another way. You guys, those are the things you need to remember. Yes, sales is important. Yes, you have a goal. Yes, you have a number in your mind, but also you need to flip that thinking, you guys. When you're reaching out to people today, don't be weary and don't be like, I don't want to offend them. I don't want to think that I'm trying to sell them something. You are trying to sell them something. You're trying to sell them this. You're trying to sell them the peace of knowing that no matter what, you have a plan B. There is something that can help you buy diapers. There is something that can help you put grocery on the table on Tuesday. You guys, that's where you have to flip your thinking. And in order to do that, you have to do it over and over and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and wait for the win. Listen, I did those exercises yesterday. I don't know how many things I sent out. I got 2 responses. One was like a flat out, no, I'm not your person, but maybe my daughter is. And the other one was like, I'll host a virtual for you. I didn't hear from anybody else. Did I cry? Did I decide, oh, I shouldn't reach out anymore? You guys, it's human nature. But I just want you to know, like, right now more than ever, people need what we have. And I'm not talking the business opportunity. I'm talking the love, the community, the support, the health, the information. We all make each other better. Iron sharpens iron. And there are people every day sitting in their house going, I don't have anyone to talk to. I don't have anything to do. So when you're reaching out today, keep that in mind.
And I just would like to dovetail off of what you said about the bat in the face. I think that was the biggest deal for me, because the book starts with this huge wake-up call. Like, he is hit very, very hard in the face with this. And I was just comparing it. It's a huge parallel to what we're going through now as a world. And, but the results of that, if he was never hit in the face by that bat, he would not have been, I don't think that he would have had the necessity to come out and write so many books on changing habits and become so well known for all of this. And I just think, and maybe this is the optimistic person in me that I know that I am, hopelessly optimistic, but full of hope, is that I just believe that the best truly is yet to come. And a lot of it's going to come right out of this. It's going to be born right out of this bat in the face for our, not only for our teams, but just for people that are looking for what we have here in Arbonne in general. And so I'm really grateful for it. And I thank all of you for being on this call this morning and just being able to listen to what we've been reading. And so, yeah, the best definitely is yet to come. Thank you.
Agree. Thank you, Juanita. And you guys, I just want to say, you know, like we're running right now, like Terry's saying, but whether you're doing region or nation, I think everybody who really is seeing this optimistically and as something that's like breaking your heart for what other people are going through, they're running. We're all running. And, you know, we're going to end up hitting another big goal, not because we're going for the goal, because we're working the system that we have to make a difference with our lives. And you guys, that is where we will have this running time. But it's like we say in Arbonne all the time, there are seasons when you sprint, and then there are seasons when you do a steady run. You know, the walking seasons, I don't ever recommend, because we always need to be doing a steady run or a run walk, you know, kind of, if you got to take a breath, not a break, that's fine, but keep running. But right now is a season we need to sprint, because there are some people that are running for their lives. And those are the people that I want to run with. You know, we say run with the runners all the time. Go where there's fire. Don't try to start a fire. There are some people that have been woken up to a harsh reality because they got hit in the face with a bat. And those are the people that are desperately looking for what we have and the hope that we have to give them, and they will run. And if you're not willing to run with those people, you will miss out on getting the opportunity to have that runner in your business. So you guys, take care of yourself. Get up and spend your quiet time. Get up and do your workout. Get up and do your Arbonne nutrition, because it's the best way to fuel your body and the cheapest way to do it right now, and give your body what it needs to have the stamina to go out there and make a difference in your world. And then get committed to that power hour. Tammy Clinton's like, remind everybody, yes, you're all invited to the 2 p.m. Central Standard Time power hour on this Zoom number right here, 769-105-8763. I feel like a commercial. But join us on this power hour daily and develop that 1% habit in your business right now. And don't worry what happens each day, but just know the compounding effect will be that you're going to be a difference maker in a bigger way, because you didn't stop when you didn't accept your help, but somebody else will.
Hey,
So,
Carlita.
yes.
Can I say one last thing?
Sure.
You mentioned the book, Make Your Bed. And I read that book. You know, I'm a military girl. So for me, like that was just like, you can look up the speech. You can look it up on YouTube, actually type in Make Your Bed, and you'll hear the military. I think it's, he's an admiral, and he's sharing at a college graduation. But I bought that book and I read it, and I used to like constantly be like, oh, I can make my bed later. I can make my bed later. And honestly, you guys, like just something as simple as getting up, making your bed, poofing your pillows, tightening the, you know, making it beautiful, laying out your blanket. If nothing else happens in that day, you started your day with accomplishing something. And it's a habit that you can create. And now my girls make their beds because they're like, do you make your bed every day? And I'm like, 99% of the time, yes, I do. And so it's just, that's something that small, and like what he talks about in this book, can make you feel that you've done something for yourself and accomplished something in the day. So start small. If all those lists seem like overwhelming, start with 1 or 2 things and create that habit, so that by the end of the week, you're like, I really actually did do something productive consistently, and then add to it, you know? So it's just, I love that book. You guys should get it.
Carlita, can I say something too?
Uh-huh.
You know, this is my favorite book right now. And it's because I struggle with this. And I think when you struggle with something, but you know, I think we all think, oh, I struggle with habits, but we all have habits. And I think that was what was so like, oh, no, you don't. You're just telling yourself a lie. You're just struggling with because you haven't disciplined yourself to like, do the little tiny things. I love this whole thing about systems, and it's I reflected so much on this book, and one of the things that stuck out to me is like, we have like every system. We have every tool that we need, but what I realized for me was I needed to create a system in my life of when I was going to work the system. And so like, when am I going to do this? So every night, you know, every day is different for me. It's you know, I mean, right now things are a little bit more routine. I don't know. Everything's different and every day can be different. And so it's hard to say every day is going to look just like this, because when I would do that, then I would get discouraged when it wasn't perfect the way I planned it to be. And then I would shame myself and beat myself up, and shame and condemnation are one of the biggest things that keep us from consistency, because then we get frustrated, we think we can't do something, and then hold on, my whole family just came home. Talk about the distractions of life. Shut the door. But anyway, finding the little, not beating ourselves up, I feel like is one of the keys to actually creating good habits, because we set the system and we figure out when and where we're going to do it. But if it doesn't happen, set those, like for me, I have an alarm that goes off and it's like, okay, you have a chance every day, in the middle of the day, even reset. Day's not over yet. Just because the morning didn't go the way you wanted it to go, what's my system now? And that little like 5 minutes of just looking at what you said you were going to do. And that's like my mantra. I'm going to do what I said I was going to do, even when I don't feel like doing it. Like I say that every day right now, because I don't feel like doing 90% of what I've been doing. Makes me want to cry, and I'll be downstairs on the treadmill or doing a strength training work. I'm like, I'm doing what I said I was going to do, even though the feeling is gone. Because at night when you're making your list for the next day and saying all these things you're going to do, seems exciting and empowering. And then the day comes and it's time to do it and you don't want to do it. And so doing what you said you're going to do when the feeling's gone. But I think having that system, we have the system. Now, who are you going to reach out to? When are you going to reach out to those people? And for how long are you going to sit and do that? So putting that in your schedule, that's your system for how to implement our system. And that's where I was realizing I have the system, but where and when and for how long am I going to work that system? Same with working out, same with everything. I know I need to work out. I know I need to read. When, where, for how long? And then
I love that.
So
You're so
thank you. I mean, you have given us literally, Carlita, like everything. We have no excuses. And what we've got to learn to do, in what I'm learning through this book is, and I mean, I've had to tweak my schedule so much. I mean, this book has caused so much evaluation for me, because I think, okay, this is the way it's going to go. And then life happens. And what happens is we'll fall off the bandwagon for a few days, but you cannot let that trajectory keep going. If you miss a day, it's okay. What can you do right now? Do one thing to move yourself forward, even if it's one thing, so you don't keep like beating yourself up, but like keep that mindset strong and just keep resetting that habit until it becomes second nature. Because everything else, I mean, brushing our teeth became second nature. My bed's made almost every day now, and that never used to happen. But when you're talking about closet, I'm like, dang it, my closet. Something special. I have a girl that used to come to my house every week to clean up my closet for me. She doesn't come anymore.
It's a good time to work on that habit.
I know. Thank you.
Thank you, honey. You're so inspiring for this book. I mean, I watch you and I know you so well, and I see your growth, and I know that you refer this all the time, and it's just so exciting, because I'm like, look at what it's doing in her and the power that it's going to have to do in everyone who embraces it the way you have. So thank you for the inspiration. And it's not me that's given everybody everything. It's all of us, and a conglomerate. We work in collaboration, and we are all and always will be better together, you guys. Always, always, always. So I just the organizer. Anybody else? Okay, let's go make this a great week, you guys, and let's go apply what it is we are discovering about ourselves, and create the life that we want. You know, that's whenever we get the life we want, is when we go out and we create it. We have the time to do it. Let's do it. Love you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.